Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Art as Well. This is your source, your weekly source of inspiration and connection with artists throughout Ireland and indeed beyond. This is our 42nd episode, and I'm thrilled this morning to have a good friend of mine, John McGlynn, as our special guest. John is a guitarist, he's a singer-songwriter, and there may be one or two of you who haven't actually heard him sing in the entire planet. And we're in for a treat if that's the case, because we're going to show a few videos of John singing. But let's just have a wee chat with him first before we do that, and go up to, depending on how you look at it, Monaghan, and say hello to John McGlynn. Hiya, John, how are you?
How are you, Alan? Good to be on today from sunny Monaghan, says he, lying horribly.
Great to see you. Great to see you. Now, unlike an awful lot of the artists that we've had on The Art as Well, whom I haven't met in the flesh, I have met you before, and you and I go back quite a few years.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker for you there, Alan, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
When you said, how long have we known each other? Do you remember that gig that I did in the yacht club? And I
said, wasn't that 10 years ago? No,
it
25.
Absolutely. It was nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You, my very successful private corporate entertainment business, Anúna Corporate, was stimulated entirely by you 30 years ago in the House of Lords.
Yeah, I remember that. We did a gig. There were about 15 companies, and I was involved in organizing a sort of an annual dinner with a bit of entertainment, and you were the entertainment. And it was about 15 companies involved in a loyalty scheme for the bank. And it was just magic. I mean, some of you may have experienced this, but John and his troupe of how many? 15, 20?
No, it was less. For something like that, I think we probably did about 12, I think.
Oh, 12, okay, yeah, it would have been about 12.
The room is fairly small, you know.
It is quite small, but they arrive in through a door completely unexpected once they're announced, and they're all robed. The women are robed, and the fellas are in their sort of costume, and it is just magical, the way they walk in, holding, everything is blacked out, okay, and they're holding a candle, and they start to sing in this sort of haunting manner as they proceed throughout the audience. And the way you hear people, coming towards you and then going away, and then more people coming towards you and going away, is just the most extraordinary experience. I don't know if many of you have experienced it, but it really is magic.
It was actually, at the time, it was fascinating because we had never taken it off the stage. And you said the House of Lords in the Bank of Ireland building, not conducive to any type of live entertainment whatsoever. And yet there was Anúna in, and the audience were part of it. An incredibly difficult room to play and sing, and yet it inspired me to go on, and 30 years later, that's how I make my living. All because of you, Alan.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the 10% later.
10, I think 20. We haven't worked for a year.
Oh, now's the time to negotiate. Okay. Anyway, listen, just to give everyone a flavor, because we've decided on a structure that basically is slide-led in terms of the chronology of your career, and it's going to be interspersed with videos. But I want to start with one, and particularly for those of you who don't know John, this gives you a very, very good flavor of the man's ability, both in singing and musically. So let's do that, and we'll go straight to screen share and bring that one up. John, in the meantime, while I'm doing that, would you explain about this particular song? This is Anúna, which you pronounced better than I
was just dying for you to say it.
Stop it, go on. I can cut that.
Of course you can, yeah.
Go on.
Fionnghuala is from the Western Isles of Scotland, and it's a type of singing called Perth Whale, which is mouth dancing or mouth music. And it was originally made famous by the Bothy Band. This arrangement is very similar to their arrangement, and what you're going to hear is more of a phonetic interpretation, my arrangement of it. Ustingal, furmi ustingal, farmi ustingal, is no holla vahan or sin holla rakakari is a Vein in vetter full man vein vet to fall me you gun with rest and now margin the
Veinen veitor folmon veinen vettu falmu veinen gräsarna harring na margna vrunsi Urstingal, for me urstingal, far me urstingal, is in all of a harder sin all of a carry say.
That's a song about fishing, by the way, hence all the sea imagery. And just to let you know, this is a little aside, which I always find interesting and hilarious.
Yep.
That is the result of a meeting online with a gentleman called Denny Young, who his sister saw us perform in Dublin Castle many, many years ago. And he had all of our albums. And Michael emailed from this complete stranger to say, I'd like to make a TV special and an album with you. And of course, it was ignored like all other lunatic fruitcakes. And yet Denny persisted. And he turns out he wasn't. He was the director of a company called Elevation. And and there's a couple of coincidences there. First of all, the director of that video that you saw there is a gentleman called Terry Fryer. And he was the hands of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Do you remember the bit where he plays the jazz?
Yes.
That's Terry Fryer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the other thing is the rig that was used to video that in Trinity Chapel in Trinity Church in Cleveland.
Yes.
That was the Elevation rig for U2. We brought it in. It was a huge production. That is Celtic Origins. You might be able to find it or check it out, but it was broadcast all over PBS and actually outsold the Eagles. We got to #1 in the Nielsen SoundScan in America in 2007. So it was one of the biggest selling albums in America.
Incredible. Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
John, let's go back a bit, because before I talk about your first career, what sort of kid were you when you were young?
Big Bad John. My dad called me Big Bad John.
Yeah.
Scowly, difficult, always very annoying and irritating. My mother will eventually get to see this. I'd like to apologize now, Mother.
Okay, you get that in. Get that in. But you didn't start then in the music business initially, did you?
No, I was an architect.
Yeah. So let's just go straight to the slides, and then we can talk through that. Yeah.
Go for it there.
All right. Now this is what you were first. So talk us through this.
That shirt was bought.
No, not your shirt. You.
Oh, sorry. That's the only photograph of me working as an architect in professional practice, taken by a gentleman called John Munro, and we worked in London. And Simon Le Bon lived next door, as far as I know. We used to sleep in hammocks and eat pizza and stay up all night and drink 3 or 4 pints of beer at lunchtime, which, for the life of me, I still don't really understand. I presume that working practice in London is finished. It
was a thing in London.
It was,
I remember.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. 2 gin and tonics and a bottle of wine over lunch.
Don't even think about it. And then you want to try drawing tiny details, working drawings.
Yeah, that's why you start early, I guess.
Yes.
So okay. So how long did this career last? And I mean, did you enjoy it?
My big problem was getting things to fruit. The thing about performing live is that it's done. You are judged immediately on the performance that you've created. With architecture, it took years. And one of the problems, of course, with architecture, particularly in this country, it's not particular form, whereas it truly is, you know, I mean, the science of living, the science of space, which is what it is. And to be able to create beautiful environments. All architecture is generated by activity. So from my point of view, it just wasn't immediate enough.
Yes.
Plus, I was a musician as well.
And was that always your first love, or was this something that you might have continued?
And we did the whole sitting around the piano with my mother, the three of us, 3 boys, and we sang in 3 parts as children. And my very, well, no, that's one of the other slides, but my whole bent was always towards singing. I've always been able to sing. Slightly out of tune, but much better now, I hope.
Yeah, you've improved, that's for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about this now. This is your early days in the music business.
Yes, I'd first of all like to send a little shout to my brother Tom. That's Tom there on the middle there. He's the lead singer of our band, which was Dead Drunk.
Yeah.
That was the name of the band, by the way. It was the only prerequisite at the time. And this is taken at the Architects' Ball. We were actually supporting Sinead O'Connor, believe it or not, that night. Yeah.
Great.
She was in a band called Tom Tom Acoot. And we were literally the sound engineer. You can see his hand there on the left-hand side. We did about 20 minutes and he unplugged us. We were so bad. But that's an interesting group. Not pictured in the photograph is Stephen St. Ledger, who was too young to play. He was only 13. And we used to play, it was Ledger's Shed. That's where we used to practice.
Yes.
And he's gone on now. He's the director of, the producer and director, I think, of Vikings.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The TV show, the History Channel. And directly behind Tom is Michael Sheridan, the broadcaster. He's a very good friend of mine, great bassist as well.
And this is you here?
That's me on the left. I think there's another shot of me there. I think you have.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
There. Looking very punk.
Yeah, I had to borrow that t-shirt off Frankie there, Frank Cronin. I didn't even know who SLF were. Like many South Dublin boys, we were rebelling against stuff we didn't really know what we were rebelling against. Yes. Yeah,
but it was a good idea at the time.
It was. Look at the photograph. That's it.
Okay, so where are we here?
This is in Carrickmacross. I can't remember the name of the venue, but it's a hotel, function room, as you can see. And that's me on the far left beside Stephen Kenny. And that's my first ever performance with Anúna. There was a performance before that, which I've just remembered and I didn't tell you, which was the launch of Achtung Baby. And Anúna were asked to perform a song on Grafton Street at about 8 o'clock in the morning on the day of the launch. And it was Mysterious Ways, and Michael was sort of at a loss as to what to do. So he asked me if I'd play the guitar and sing the lead vocal on it. There's a recording of it somewhere. I'll dig it up. But that is officially the first live performance there. But there was one before that. But it was all captured on film. There it is. Me with the big red face. And we were doing excerpts from West Side Story there.
What was the occasion, did you say?
I don't know. No, which one? Like the first one about acting?
No, this. No.
Oh, I don't know. It was just it was a private thing. All local people came along. Yeah.
Yes. This is a great shot.
This is by Nigel Brand, and this is the original lineup for this incredibly progressive group, which at the time I don't even think I performed. This is around 1991, and that's in a little castle, I think, in Dalkir, Killiney. Or not, sorry, it's a church, a ruined church. And we were moving into the direction of, there's no traditional choral music in Ireland whatsoever. All the singers that you see there, pretty much anyone who's trained, were trained as opera singers, or they had been in boys' choirs. There's my friend Gareth up there, sitting up on the top of the oak there. I think he was in the Palestrina. But we knew there was something different happening. We started to get a little bit of rock and roll. And you'll see from a late photograph, this is exactly what happened.
Okay. And this is you?
That's Michael.
Oh, that's Michael. And this is you?
Yeah. This is me there in profile.
Yeah.
With my William Shatner mutton chops.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, this is interesting.
Yeah.
What's the story about that?
There. This photograph was taken not backstage because there wasn't really a stage. This taken in Trinity College, right at the very beginning of Anúna. And Michael had been asked by somebody if he would teach Elvis Costello, Declan McManus, how to read and write music. And he would turn up.
Did he not know?
No,
he
he didn't.
know? No?
He's like me. I don't really read.
Okay.
He was exactly the same, and he had embarked on this project to write something for the Brodsky Quartet, and that will place that in time. But he would turn up at the door and pick him up in his, I think it was a Mercedes at the time.
Yeah. And
ask if Michael could come out to play. So Declan would turn up backstage at several gigs, I remember. But I certainly, he was a lovely guy. He did a couple of gigs with us as well. He did. She moved through the fair with us several times with us backing him. But
yes,
a really, truly down-to-earth guy, great guy, really nice guy.
He was going after an Irish woman at this point. This is before Diana Krall.
Yeah, quite. But she would turn up with him, and she's the one actually that would come and pick Michael up regularly from the house.
Yes.
And us sitting inside pretending not to be impressed.
A
little side was a friend of mine, Paddy Cook, was a huge fan of Elvis Costello. He didn't believe it at all. So I asked him, would he be able to give Paddy a present, I think for his, I can't remember which birthday it was. And he gave him a copy of an album called Blood and Chocolate. And it was cancelled because it looked like a bar of Bourneville. So it was in breach of copyright. Yeah. And I think there was about 100 of them made. And he signed it and sent it off. And by God, Paddy never opened his mouth again. You're there, Paddy. That taught you.
Exactly. Now, I want to play another video of you singing. And this is called All She Has Is You. Could you give us a bit of background to it?
This is If All She Has Is You. It's taken in, again, it's part of the presentation for Celtic Origins. And this is, interestingly enough, this has been covered several times, but the most recent one was in 2014 by a group called Electric Youth. And they put it on their debut album. They are most significant for having done the drive sequence in the movie, the Ryan Gosling vehicle Drive. And it was produced by Vince Clarke, Depeche Mode, and Yazoo. So this is my version of it. I really love this. If All She Has Is You is a love song of sorts. It's desperately sad, if you listen to the words properly, from the point of view of a man who has done many things that he has regretted. For me, every time I sing it, I hope the audience see it as a simple love song, but it most certainly isn't.
What can I say? I'll never know what happened today. I'd written a song to string her along. I knew it was wrong. She told me we would last forever, that all she'd ever had was me. I've just said goodbye based on a lie that I told to my sweet love. But if all she has is you, make sure you're one in a million. If all she has is you, make sure you're one in a million. She'd waited in vain, a figure in black, alone in the rain. She still wears my ring, a curious thing, a curious She told me we would last forever, that all she'd ever had was me. I've just said goodbye based on a lie that I told to my sweet love. But if all she has is you, make sure you're one in a million. If all she has is you, make sure you're one in a million. If all she has is you, make sure you're one in a million.
Another lovely song.
Thank you very much, Alan. That's
Beautiful.
lovely of you to say.
Beautiful.
An interesting aside to my little thing about Electric Youth was that I spoke to Austin, who's the guy. He's one of the members of the group. There's only two of them, and they had been on holidays in LA, and they were watching the PBS special, which is ironic, really, because you think that rock and roll stars would not be watching PBS in the States, but they were, and this came on, and he was in having a shower, and when he came out, apparently his girlfriend decided that's going on the album. And for you to put somebody else's track right in the middle of a completely self-penned debut album, it hit them really hard. They really, really loved it. So it was a huge compliment to me.
What would you say is the sort of the pivotal moment where, you know, you sort of said, "Whoa, this is it. This is the best ever"? I mean, you know, was there a point in time where you thought this is starting to happen big time?
With Anúna, a friend of mine, Dennis Gilbert, who was another architect, came along to a gig in Trinity College, and I had been working on all these bizarre moves based on early Christian procession. And he said, as the singers walked up, he came up to me afterwards and he said, I could smell them as they walked past. And I realized that there was a lot more to performance than simply sitting there and not so much doing as you're told, but doing as you're expected. And you don't necessarily have to participate. And it all goes into the whole idea of space and filling a space. One of the ideas I always had was it was like one of those snow globes that music fills the space, no matter where it is and what it is. So we treated cathedrals and churches with exactly the same reverence as we did with any venue we ever did. And it's something that was a pivotal moment anyway. Thanks, Dennis.
Now, this one you say is the only one of you.
This is the only shot of me on stage with Riverdance. I think this is the point depot. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, it was in 1994, wasn't it? During an interval of the Eurovision. And
it was.
This sort of intermission filler, you nearly call it, turned out to be the most successful show on earth for several years.
It was.
And it's still going.
It was. Yeah, still still going.
Were you expecting that, John? Because you were the lead singer there.
I remember bumping into Bill Whelan backstage after Michael Flatley came off and the audience went berserk, which looking back at the clips, there's an awful lot of pullaways and they didn't so much play it down, but they didn't realize what was happening. The audience went absolutely berserk.
That's
I turned to Bill and I said, Bill, I hope you have lorries ready with that music. And they didn't expect anything that happened. And the feedback was just incredible. On the stage there in the right-hand side is my brother Tom, looking fantastic. And on the left-hand side here is my best man, Richard Boyle. I think he's on today.
Where's he now? Far
He's
left.
on the far left. That's him
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's Richard, and we've basically been knocking around together through thick and thin since.
Right.
So,
And is that
lots of
Kate?
friends. That's Katie McMahon there, yeah.
Kate, yeah, I remember her because she did the
Fabulous
original
singer.
gigs with
She
us.
did,
Yeah.
yeah. Certainly. She's living in
And
America.
all of these people have moved on to other things, haven't they?
They have, yes.
Isn't there a story about this young lady here?
That's Emer Lang, and I hope I got it right. I think she's the top eye surgeon, one of the top eye surgeons in the world.
Hmm. And it all started here, folks.
It all started here.
Yeah. Amazing. And of course, over the years, you know, a lot of people from Anúna have moved over to Riverdance. You know, I mean, could you even think of the number of people who've been through your troupe before?
Well, looking at a
over the
name right
years.
up here, looking at a name here, one of the finest musicians I think Ireland has ever produced is, I'm looking at her right now, Julie Feeney.
Yes.
She's probably very busy at the moment, but yes, people like Hosier and my cousin Ava, who I think is on here as well, who is just launched her new album.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had the most incredible, unbelievably talented singers come through the group. Hosier, he's another one of ours as well.
Yes.
Oh, good God. Alan.
Yeah, okay, we had to show it. Explain yourself.
This was again by Nigel Brand, who amazingly enough took the first very reserved black and white photograph you saw. And this was back in the day when you just did things for the hell of it.
Yeah.
So we got our dressers and we got our hair and our props, and there's a big, the background was painted especially, and everything was sourced correctly. And I think Nigel had seen a photograph, or he'd certainly worked with us on it, on Cosmopolitan, and he said, let's produce that. So that was something that we saw Anúna as something progressive and different, and yet still a choir. There you go.
But did you actually perform in that sort of rig out?
No, we didn't. Though
No.
I think Gareth, who's standing beside me there, I think Gareth still likes to dress that way at home.
Okay, we
And
won't
that's
get to
because
that.
I know he hasn't turned up this morning.
I see. Okay. All right.
Woo-hoo!
Now, what's happening here?
This was President Mary McAleese brought us on a state visit to Buenos Aires and Chile. And this is taken in the, I've got this pronunciation wrong, in the Subte, I think, which is the underground of Buenos Aires. And we were dragged down with cameras in the middle of the rush hour in Buenos Aires to sing songs into, these are what we call area mics. They're directional mics. I think they're 58s. So nobody could hear us, and we were laughing away there. I was trying to keep everyone in check. I'm on the far left there.
You're over here.
Yeah, I'm on the far left there. Yeah,
Yes.
but there's Simon Morgan there standing beside me. There's Richard as well, and we're singing away to an audience of people not listening to anything we're doing. They couldn't figure out what we were doing there, and everybody's burnt because we had some sun. It was shocking.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Never again. Yeah, I can't remember the name of this guy, but this epitomizes my PBS moments. I did 2 PR trips, one for Celtic Origins and another for a subsequent hilarious special we did, Christmas Memories. And this was in 13, I think it's in upstate New York, or it could be in New York City. And this guy, very much what you see there. And if you look down at his feet, he's wearing trainers. And I'm looking at him here, and I'm just trying to think desperately, how am I going to stop laughing?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't anything like he appeared to be. But the whole PBS system in America, if there are any Americans watching this, is just remarkable. They function outside of the grid. They're financed only by public support. So we could do it here, actually. We really could. Yeah. Very
So
good
that was an interview.
That was an interview, yeah.
Prior to a concert or something, was it?
We did gigs in Borders bookstores every night. We would travel for 4 hours and get out and do a gig, and then go straight to bed and get up in the morning and do radio interviews. It was just 5-6 weeks of incredible work.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that, John, or was it
Loved
quite
it, every
arduous?
second of it.
You loved
Every
it?
second of it.
Yeah.
There are 2 states in the world, Alan. You're either on tour or you're not.
Yes.
Anyone who thinks that they're waiting to go home should not be on tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
That looks like a fun time.
That's a night off. We went for a few beers after concert, and there was a guy with a caddy who was obviously extremely drunk, who offered to drive us around. And of course, the moment that was in it, we all said yes. And I said, absolutely not. Get up there and we take a photograph.
Yeah.
There's my friend Ian, and right in there at the back is Rory Johnson, who was the tour manager. He was our tour manager. He was the tour manager for the Sex Pistols and the Clash, the first tour, the only tour for the Pistols. Mm-hmm. And beside him there is Noel Eccles, and he's Moving Hearts. Yeah. He is a very good friend of mine, and there's Derek as well. Derek, how are you? Mm-hmm. But that would sort of epitomize touring, to be honest.
Yes,
anything could happen.
Great fun.
Oh, good God. That's Halloween 2007, I think.
Yes.
Much of it speaks for itself.
Let's start with where are you? Are you taking the photograph?
I'm the one taking the photograph.
Yes. Yeah, the innocent party.
The pirates there in the right, and Orla and Elaine decided that they would dress up as punks in honor of Rory, which seems bizarre, but it was logical. And in behind them there is, I can't remember his name, but he was actually Bjork's sound engineer. There's Rory Musgrave in the front, and there's in the middle. I was the other half of the Blues Brothers. Fun on tour. I included these, Alan, because no one has ever seen them. I just thought that they'd be fun.
Yeah, good. No, they're wonderful. Wonderful. Now, is that the National Concert Hall?
That's in the National Concert Hall. I got a review for that to say that my music was, quote directly, boring. That was that's 2011, I think. I can't remember. But that's the single man on the stage. And some people really get off on it. I get extremely nervous before I perform. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing when you sing being nervous, but it's another thing when you play and your hands are sweating. And it's a mechanical thing, which an issue that I've always had. But sometimes it just clicks. And that night it absolutely clicked.
And when you're with a backing group of people, as in a choral group, I should say, do you feel a little more confident because of that? I'm working. Mm-hmm. It's one is work and the other is presenting yourself. You're literally on a plate. Yeah. So, and what was the occasion of that, John?
Madeline Peru asked me to support her, and she was extremely nice person, a great artist, and actually come up to me before and afterwards to say thank you so much for coming. I've done guest spots with lots of people, but Madeline really went out of the way, so that was lovely. I never told you the story about this. We were doing a festival in French-speaking Canada, outdoors, and the thing went on a little bit, and I got up to do my announcement and my presentation, and right behind us on the back of the hill, this heavy metal band started playing, and we couldn't hear it. We had to stop the concert. We couldn't hear a damn thing, and that was the moment the sound engineer, Breeza, took that photograph. I said, everyone take a bow, and I gave the salute, the rock salute. Yes.
So what happened? I mean, another group just started over you.
It was a festival, right. It was an absolute, they were unbelievable. We couldn't sing over it. Nobody could hear anything. And I just said, nah, we're finished. Everybody off. Yeah.
You'd had your 15 minutes of fame. You're out.
Salute to the rock gods.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to thank Phil Marshall for this. He was the one that persuaded myself. This is again, Denny Young was part of this. There's my cousin Ava, second from the left there. Hopefully she's still on.
Yes.
Now that's Nikki. She's in the video later on. Ava's over here on the far left.
Oh, here. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
She's very young in that as well. Mm-hmm. And this is a Top Hat and Tails Christmas show. I don't know where it's gone. I have no idea what happened to it, but maybe it'll appear on Irish TV someday. And just to give you some idea of the extent where we went, this is 2007, I think, 2008. And this is filmed in July in Cleveland. So it's like 150 degrees outside, but great moment there. Great friends there.
Yeah. Was it a sort of a Christmas special, was it?
It was a Christmas special.
Yeah.
I see Alice in there as well. Good Lord.
Yeah. And you also did a gig with Jules Holland, a Christmas one.
Yeah, we did.
That I saw recently. Yeah, when I was investigating
it's up on
you
YouTube.
again.
You'll have to Google it. And he basically told us to give a few bars of Fionn, which I duly did. It's out there. All you need to do is Google Anúna, Jules Holland, and you'll see it.
That's right.
But yeah, that was some experience. But that was one of many things we did, Alan, at the time. You know, we were over and back. It was we were in the biggest show in the world at the time, you know, and afterwards. So yeah, it's continued on some journey. You reminded me of so many things now.
Well, you know, it's funny that's exactly the sentiment that a lot of artists convey when they've done this, because it really does force you to go back, you know, on the work that you've done, what you've done, where you are, where you're going, which is generally the format, you know. Now I'd like to show another video, and this is called Cherry Tree. Could you give us some background to this?
This is filmed primarily by my wife, and God, how long have we got?
Well, plenty of time. You're all right.
And Anastasia and myself had all sorts of problems. She's Russian from Volgograd, and we had been friends for 10 years. And one day I decided that I wanted to marry her.
Well, belated congratulations, because this is quite recent, isn't it?
It's 2019. Yeah, which is quite recent. And I said I needed a photographer. She's, apart from being an English teacher, she's a fantastic illustrator and toy maker. And we just met in Paris in April. Yeah. And I proposed to her 3 days after I met her. And then we had to go through the immigration process in Ireland. One of the things about the process itself was that we did it all ourselves. So it's like you earn your marriage. And we met all over Europe. And the place that we ended up meeting, she would fly from Russia to meet me periodically for a full year. And the place that we settled was Tallinn, Estonia.
In Estonia.
Yeah. I will tell you about this video. I'm walking around with a guitar case.
Oh yeah, do because we'll go back to that because
she did suggest at the time, well, afterwards, why did you not take the guitar out of the guitar case? So we filmed this at dawn in Tallinn. If you haven't been to Tallinn, my second wedding was there. My first was in Moscow. You've got to go before it I don't know, changes, I guess.
Okay. Shall we go into that?
Go into it there now, and I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Now gently bear my true love fair down dappled sunlight's paths to lie beneath the cherry tree and kiss her lips at last, and kiss her lips at last. Sweet scented air, she lays her blossom in her hair, yet we remain to sleep and dream again.
Lovely, John. That was beautiful. Who filmed
bit at
that?
the end, that Anastasia filmed it.
Oh, sorry. Yes. It's fantastic.
We
Really
did.
beautiful.
Talon, we're going back as soon as
Hmm.
this is finished, but Talon is incredibly special for us because we actually got locked down there for 5 months.
Mhm.
We
Yes.
went over to meet. I was doing a gig in Norway, and we went over to meet. Again, no hope of visas, impossible to get in.
Mhm.
And through the efforts of the ambassador there, Francis Kiernan, who I will always be grateful to, and a very old friend of mine, Eugene Downs, we managed to sort out a visa which allowed her to come to Ireland. But at the time we were stuck there, she had an expired Schengen visa. So in the middle of the pandemic, sorry, at the beginning of the pandemic,
Mhm.
she could have been sent back to Moscow, which would
Yes.
have been appalling. And we might not have seen her. I might not have seen her for a year. So it was, yeah. Anyway, Tallinn is definitely one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Mm. Okay, let's move back to the slides for a sec.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh yeah, right.
Paris.
This is the ruse that I used to bring her over to Paris, was that she would take some photographs of me doing a radio interview. So that's me there, and there's another one if you go on. Yes, see, in low light. She said she was very nervous when she took these photographs because she had no idea. Like literally the day after that, I asked her to marry me.
Really?
And then the next slide there, Alan, you'll get it up.
There she is.
This is me arriving in that Cecilia, in Red Square.
Yeah.
At about 6 o'clock in the morning, where she picked me up, and we were married in a registry office in Moscow. That the day afterwards, literally, and very happy memories.
Yeah, and you were telling me during the week about the place where you actually did get married, the church.
Yeah,
and can you tell us a bit about that, because it was quite surprising.
In Red Square, from the point of view of choral music, if anyone is interested, we met there. I think we had to wait till a restaurant opened so we could have some breakfast. Yeah. But we were wandering around. That's Lenin's tomb in the background, and down in the far right-hand corner of Red Square, there's this tiny little church, and I could hear music being piped out. And I said, "That's lovely. You know, there was no one there. That's lovely. You know, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning." And she said, "No, it's not. That's a service that's going on now." And we went in, and it was a live service. And the singers, there was maybe 8 of them. They had a semi-chorus. They were singing live. They had 3 countertenors that I could hear. The quality was stunning, for no money, for nothing. Doing something that basically revived my whole thought about the reason that people do music, why they do it, and the situation they put themselves in to do it. And Red Square at dawn, wow,
wonderful,
in October. Yeah.
You're a romantic, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah,
I am. Rush is fabulous, by the way. If anyone hasn't been there, get over there.
Well, I know my wife would love me to bring her there.
Go.
I think she was
my advice.
Yeah, exactly. Now your wife is not making an appearance, despite my
she's working
pleas.
Upstairs at the moment. Yes, you're right. Yes. Yeah. Nope. Okay. Not going to work. Sorry, Alan.
Well, at least we saw her in photograph. So
you saw her in the photograph.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, there's one more video, but we'll show that in a second. I just want to go through, see if there's any comments that have been made, John, if that's okay. Marianne says, "I've seen them Ballina, County Mayo, with all the candles through the Protestant church. It was fantastic." That's a great thing. It was many years ago now that Anúna concert. Colette says, "Experienced a wonderful performance in Kilmainham Jail, complete with candles many years ago."
That was with Andy Irvine and Maya Bizer, I think, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Yeah. The memory still lingers with me. Thanks for the experience. Julie says, "That song is an absolute classic." Eileen McDermott Rowe says, excuse me, "I think the costumes, use of space, music and singing combine so wonderfully in your performances. Absolutely terrific." Thanks for that, Eileen. Jacinta Monks, "Wonderful, Alan. Really enjoying the journey with John. It's so interesting." I mean, it's, where to from here, John? Now you say you're going back to Estonia.
I got a gig yesterday after I spoke to you. I did, yeah, from my friend Michael Dawson. He runs the the Irish Institute of Music and Song.
Yes.
And out of nowhere, he just rang me up and he said, "Would you do a lunchtime gig in August?" Which is very hopeful with no live music. But there you go.
Yeah.
Just little things. So my next move, I think, is that I'm going to organize a tour straight away.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the size of the venue or whether I'm open to it.
I was saying, John, last week, when I was saying who was coming on next week, just to give them a sort of a flavor for it, I was just saying the difference between a visual artist and a vocal artist is that the visual artists are fortunate in that, yeah, they have the materials and all of that, but they have canvas, they have paper, they have walls, ceilings, floors to draw on. Your canvas is your audience. And when that is taken away from you, you are literally powerless. You know, somebody said, yes, you could be writing. But the juice that keeps you going is the performance, live performance, and your audience.
When this thing dropped in March, everything stopped, and it's very difficult to explain to anyone what that does. That's not like losing a bit of business. And I do notice with the pandemic and the relief and all the stuff that's being done, there's no comprehension that when you make your living entirely from live music, entirely, nothing else, and it's gone like that, and the suggestion that you would do something else. I've learned, and my lesson is that get out there while you can still walk and play, and sing, and perform and travel. Yes. I'm very lucky to be able to do it now. I'm very lucky to have someone to travel with me.
Indeed, yeah. Okay, Bridget Flannery says, always a wonderful experience. Experience to hear the music. Yeah, she's a big fan of yours. I know her because she was on the other week.
Are you, Bridget?
So so listen, this other thing I was going to ask. Normally I ask an artist who's on what work of art they'd love to hang in their own house, you know, to admire on a daily basis. And I think it's probably more appropriate to ask you something more to do with singer-songwriters or something like that. Who would be the person that you would love to have a coffee with or lunch or dinner that you really admire?
It would probably be a toss-up, actually, between John Martin and Nick Drake. But Nick Drake probably would be the most interesting, fascinating person. Every year for the last 12 or 13 years, I've gone to the Nick Drake gathering in Tamworth in Arden, which is where he was born and died. And go there with all these people who love Nick Drake. And he's always been a massive inspiration. And unlike people like Elliott Smith, people who committed suicide or people who died, his music is filled with hope. And he suffered massively from depression. And with his music comes despite the depression. You can hear in songs like Black Eyed Dog, where you can hear it's overcoming him. His last album, Pink Moon, well, you could hear it was overcoming him, and he wasn't actually able to play and sing at the same time in the studio when he recorded, which was fascinating because yet it's full of hope. His music is filled with hope.
Yes.
So he would be a massive inspiration, a huge loss. He died at 26, and dreadful, but it would be him. I'd like to ask him why he never changed his strings. That would be the question I would always ask him.
And how did you observe that?
You can hear it. They call them fuzzy or furry strings. It drives everyone crazy. That's why he couldn't perform live, because it used to take him an hour to tune the strings.
Really? Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Neill says, I have a wonderful memory also of performance in Kilmainham Hospital, a palliative care conference, and was indeed magic. Hair on the back of your neck stuff.
That would have been one of the private gigs that I do. That would be Anúna corporate. Yeah. Yes, that would have been a fantastic gig. I remember it. Kilmainham Hospital is fantastic.
Yeah, actually, there was another gig, not that particular one that Catherine's referring to, that I was there. I didn't organize you, but you were there. I don't know if you remember that. That was.
I don't remember. Were you younger?
Shut up. Do you see this Anúna corporate coming back? Or do you think things will change?
There's all work has already started coming back. Or it's all hope, but it's all speculative. I think that the landscape for live music has changed completely.
Yes.
And I think that if we're going to have live music, people are going to have to support it. It's one of the things that I do worry about in Ireland. I live in the centre of Dublin City, and there's venues all over the place, but it's just not supported by anyone, and it's not considered to be a rarefied enough art form. And that is somebody sitting in the corner providing you with music, and original music, not just cover versions of Dirty Old Town, which incidentally is Scottish, not Irish, for all of you there.
Okay. Malachy Hebben says, thanks, Alan, for my introduction to John. Downloading his music during the interview. Can't wait to see him live.
I can't wait to receive that 0.0001 cent royalty that I get off Spotify.
Well, I think it's 0.05.
Is it?
Yeah, there was a guy on, which is quite interesting, because somebody was saying, how mean Spotify is. And this guy's the financial wizard there. And he said, if you go to BBC and somebody plays your track, you'll get 150 quid.
Yeah.
All right. And he said, work that out. He said, that BBC program is watched by 8 million people. Divide 8 million into 150 quid, and you get 0.000005, whereas Spotify apparently is 0.05 of 1 cent, of 1 penny. It sounds awful, but that was his point. And you could argue that.
My friends talk to me about the royalty checks that they receive or the royalties that they receive, and generally they're between less than €1 and slightly less than €5 a month. So all that live music stuff is and all that recorded Spotify stuff, unless you're really doing well.
But I think the music business has reversed, hasn't it? It used to be you used to do concerts in order to sell records. Now you do records to sell the concert.
Well, the idea of there being a music business that provides business and a living for musicians of any standard is just ridiculous. There are people that make money off musicians. That's just the way it is. Musicians generally are not considered to be part of the business. They seem to be superfluous.
Yeah.
And I am speaking from my own personal experience, but
I understand.
Go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that there are cases, albeit very few maybe, of people who've taken matters into their own hands and have bypassed the business aspect of it and gone on YouTube and become massive on YouTube, and then suddenly they're on Spotify and people download it, but they're really making money out of YouTube.
They are, yeah. But there's a great word there. There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of luck involved in success.
Yes.
A lot of people I know who've done extremely well. But again, it's the way it falls. I think I gave you that example of walking down the Golden Mile at the Edinburgh Festival, and the idea that there would be 100 opera singers all singing the same aria, and right in the middle of them is Pavarotti. And why do we have to have 99 other singers when we have Pavarotti? These are the questions you have to ask yourself about the quality of music. Yes. And it's about people who are educated. That's all, educated in music, who are exposed to live music. And this is where I'd love to see things go. Lots of live music, loads of it out there, not taken for granted, not background music, not Dirty Old Town.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Jacinta Monk says, I cancelled my Spotify because of this, John. They've also recently, this is what she's saying. They have also recently increased their prices to the consumer, that is. Okay. Derek says, how involved is John with the visual element in videos with his work? Stroke singing.
In the visual element of my videos?
Yeah.
But that's what I am. Yeah. But the vast amount of my input into Anúna since the beginning was visual. And I did a lot of study in early Christian possession, which was interesting when I was in Russia to see that the Orthodox Church in Russia still practices that very measured idea that ritual is not a set thing. Ritual is in the performer. If the performer believes what they're doing and in what they're doing, the audience will. If they don't, and if they're acting, people can tell. Respect your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite agree. John, I'm going to introduce the last video, which is Sarah Jane. Sorry, I'm not going to introduce it. You are. Could you tell us about Sarah Jane? Because it's a beautiful,
very, very quickly. Right. Yeah. I didn't tell you what the song was about for a start. No. This song was written. I actually wrote this in one go when Elizabeth Sladen died. And Elizabeth Sladen, for anyone who's into Doctor Who, was Sarah Jane Smith. Yeah, I know. Yeah, with Sarah Jane Smith. And as a child, everyone had a doctor. And my doctor was John Pertwee and Tom Baker. And
Yeah.
Sarah Jane was the one that spanned both of them. And Elizabeth Sladen died of cancer in the most, I mean, it was awful, but in the most dignified and private way. And I remember hearing the news and sitting down straight away. I wept. You know, very rarely a stranger in something so far in the past. And she represented everything to me. It was like my childhood was gone, literally.
Yes.
So this song was written for her. The video is fascinating because the video was done in one day and one night.
Right.
Done by my friend Brad Ballew, traveling in Iceland with his wife Karen, and Richard Boyle was there as well. And our model, our actor, is Nikki Kavanagh, who is, by the way, playing a nun in Malta at the moment for Channel 5. I know, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
but the bit at the beginning, unlike what you thought it was, is actually the Northern Lights. So let it roll.
Yes,
there.
exactly. Well, I'm glad you said that, actually, because I literally thought it was a stage set. So explain that. It was the night before the shoot, was it?
No, we did the shoot, and on the way back, we stopped off, and Brad said, I think there's a gap in the clouds, which there wasn't because it was lashing rain, and we all piled out into this national park.
Yeah.
And Jesus, didn't the Northern Lights come and literally reach down from the heavens. You'll see it at the beginning.
Listen to me, Sarah Jane. Listen to these words that make you live again. Help me see reality. Be the man I got to be. See the things I got to see. If you hadn't crossed the line, if you hadn't paved the road and made the time, nothing I would rather do than walk the London streets with you. Walk the London streets with you. Listen to me, Sarah Jane. Listen to these words that make you live again. All the week you made me see, but Friday got away from me. Friday got away from me. Listen to me, Sarah Jane. If you were to have your time and live again, nothing I would rather do than walk the London streets with you. Rainy London streets with you. Listen to me, Sarah Jane. Listen to these words that make you live again. Help me see reality. See the things I got to see. Be the man I got to be. See the things I got to see. Be the man I got to be.
Very sad.
Very sad, yeah. Can't wait to go back to Iceland. Cannot wait.
Really?
Yeah. First flight out.
I was watching Rick Stein on Reykjavik. It was a repeat of his weekends away. And,
God, I'm a big fan of Rick. How's he getting on? I haven't got near him.
He and I did a gig, a bit like you,
You're kidding?
a while back. Yeah, twice. But anyway, Reykjavik and Iceland look fascinating. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, that song Michael did, my brother did the oh God, it wasn't that one, it was a different one. Well, there you go. Actually, my producer, if she's on, and friend and co-writer and co-creator, Rebecca Shannon, she's responsible for the album. 50% of everything that I've ever done from the point of view of moving forward creatively in the last 5 years has been Rebecca. So I'd like to say hi to her if she gets a look at this.
Sure thing. John, tell us about your latest album and how people can acquire it.
The latest
listen to it.
The latest album is we sold out yesterday, but we're getting another run on it. That's Fragments.
Oh,
yes. So Fragments is available on Spotify, Bandcamp. There's a few videos of it up. I have playlists all over the place. So resubscribe to Spotify, otherwise you never get to hear anything.
There is that, yeah. Morland says this presentation is absolutely fabulous. He's so gifted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One thing I always ask artists is where do they get their inspiration, John? You know, do you get it by walking the drumlins up where you are, or what really kind of inspires you?
I'm probably one of the world's biggest Beatles fans, and Paul McCartney never floated my boat. The greatest songwriter of all time. But I remember seeing an interview with John Lennon, and when he was asked how he wrote music, he used to write the music first and then the words. And unfortunately, I love playing the guitar and I love creating music and melodies, complex and all as they might be. And then I will sit and wait for the song to come. Yeah. I don't have notebooks or anything. I have no process at all. And they come. They might take 5 years, and I can do them in one, like Sarah Jane there. I did that in one go, literally in one go. And there's another one. To
clarify, do you say you write the words first, the lyrics?
No, I never write.
It's the other way around. It's the other way around. I beg your pardon. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the song is sitting there in the firmament. The melody is sitting in the firmament, waiting for the words to find it. It's the most atrocious practice for creating anything, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Would you say that's unusual? Would you say most people actually do it the other way around?
Yeah, it's incredibly unusual. But when I heard John Lennon did it, I actually went right down that rabbit hole, and now I'm stuck there.
Yeah. Well, do you know, that's your thing. You know,
one life, Alan. You got to do
that's
it the way, whatever suits you, or doesn't for that case.
Catherine O'Neill says, is it possible to buy your music on golden discs?
Are golden discs still a thing?
Probably online.
You can't. You can still buy my CD if you go onto my website and send me a contact. You can buy the first CD, but we have literally sold out. I sold the last one last night of Fragments, but we're getting some more copies made. So yes, you can buy it. JohnMcGlynn.com. Yep. Check it out. Okay. You'll get me on. I'm all over social media as well.
We'll put that on the underneath the description in the video. Okay. So listen, John, we leave it there. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hate using the word national treasure, but you are.
Thank you so much. I feel that too.
Modest as ever. However, from the day I met you.
You're an international treasure, Alan. And everybody here will agree that.
Well, yeah. Anyway, listen, thank you so much. I wish you every success in the future and happiness in your marriage with your lovely new wife.
We've had a year together, Alan, and it's going swimmingly. Every day is brilliant.
Well, do you know what? It's the biggest test for a relationship, being stuck together like that for a couple of months, you know? So well done, you. Yeah.
A year. Over a year.
Over a year. Yeah.
Thanks a million, Alan. And well done on your series. I've been following it and I'm absolutely blown away. Well done. Well done.
Thanks a mil. I look forward to meeting up with you, John, in person soon.
Great. Let's do something.
Okay, so listen, we leave it there, guys. Thank you all for watching from all parts of the globe, which is wonderful. And I hope you enjoy that. If you did, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, and ring the old bell. and there's a little link below that you can press. So please do that if you're enjoying the series. Now, next week, we are traveling to, I think, Wicklow, where we're going to meet a ceramic artist. And her work is absolutely stunning. I think you'd really, really enjoy it. So I look forward to seeing you, same place, same time, next Saturday. And all will be revealed, as usual, on my social media on Wednesday as to who this artist is. So thanks again, everybody. Thank you very much, John, so much. And look forward to seeing you soon, okay? Bye, everybody. Thank you.